Welcome to Remix EQ Live, where we're amplifying equity with a mix of information, interviews, and inspiration. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Tate, and today I'm live from Savannah, Georgia, where I live. For those joining us today, please drop a greeting of choice. Hello, howdy, hola, in the comments. Let us know where you are joining from and the equity work that you do or aspire to do. And remember, Remix EQ Live is an experience that's meant to be shared. So I encourage you to hit that share button and invite your people, your network, your family, your friends to join us. And while those comments are flowing in and those invitations are flowing out, I want to remind you that Remix EQ Live offers us the opportunity to connect and build community around the equity work being performed throughout the world. And we do this by centering the work. That is, our guests share examples of what they do in their role or position as a way to illustrate how they advance equity in the spaces in which they work and live. And we invite you to do the same throughout the show in the comments. Now let's kick off this remix. Today, my guests are Venola Mason and Michael O'Neill. I've known both of them for more than a decade. Venola and I we created opportunities to co-facilitate professional learning with K-12 teachers and leaders across the country. And we often had our babies and families in tow. So while we were at school putting in the work, they were enjoying that hotel life that we both need. And Mike O'Neill, yes, I call him by his whole name. Y'all know all about that. He has welcomed me in to the Parent University family as a facilitator and friend. And even as we were preparing for this show, we both remembered that I was once a guest a while ago on his long-standing show, Parent University TV. And as with all our Remix EQ Live guests, Venola and Mike have rich and varied careers. So in the audience, I want you guys to listen up as they describe how their career pathways have increased their scope and impact in schools and communities. So with that said, Venola and Mike, I invite you to introduce yourselves. And as you do, please share any career twists and turns that have led you to your current role. And we'll start with you, Venola.
Awesome. Thank you, Erica. I am so excited about being here this morning and sharing with your wonderful guests. I'm Venola Mason. I'm an associate partner with the International Center for Leadership and Education. And I have an interesting journey in education. I was actually an alternative route teacher, so non traditional. I taught in Atlanta for about 5 years. Then I left the district to move into working with some nonprofit organizations where Erica and I actually met. And we designed teacher certification programs for career changers. We implement those programs across the state of Georgia. I did some of that similar work with Teach for America in Atlanta, and then ended up actually starting my own consulting company and doing some consulting work for ICLE, which is the company that I work for now. So I started off not in education at all, got here through a non-traditional route, being able to serve the 25 or so kids I had in my class. And then now I'm able to partner with districts all across the country, expanding that impact.
Thank you so much. We're glad to have you in all of your experiences. All right, Michael O'Neill.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael O'Neill, and I think I was introduced as, or I shall start by introducing myself as the executive director of an organization that we call Parent University. But Erica said something about turns and twists that my gosh. Um, I This organization that I currently work for, we do parent learning spaces, and we have been doing it for 23 years. That
Wow.
being said, my adult experiences um, are very far from professional learning. I actually spent most of my career as an electrician in a paper mill, um, and as a father who sought to enhance my knowledge and the knowledge of others about maybe some things we don't know about parenting. I talked with some other parents, and we said, let's create some learning spaces. So I have gone from being an electrician in a paper mill to uh, being in a space where we're able to touch thousands of parents to talk about issues that are unique to us and that we may not share with others in other environments. And I look forward to talking to you more about it. But every time I say that I'm an executive director of a 501c3 nationally, I still have to pinch myself from when I think about where this journey started. So thank you, Erica. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So excited to have you. We have, hey, Katie Jones. She says, hey, Venola, Erica, and Michael. She's excited to join us live this time. Yay. Oh, we're excited. And I also see some other people in the comments. Hi, Jen Whitmer. Yay. Live. Yes. I love anything with exclamation points. It just excites me the most. Thank you guys for joining us. We're excited to have you. For those who are just joining, this is Remix EQ Live, where we are amplifying equity through a mix of information, interviews, and inspiration. And after those introductions, I know that you are readying yourself to interact with us, our guest. Now, Venola and Mike, we know how you've arrived in your current role. And next, we want to learn more about what tools and strategies you use to build more equitable relationships and learning communities. So, Venola, so excited. You are the author of the book Teach Up, which also has an exclamation point, so it makes me excited. So, Teach Up, Empowering Educators Through Relationships, Rigor, and Relevance. And in your book, you center on relationships between students and teachers. And you also introduce a tool that you created called Pause and React to help teachers support all students in their classrooms. So, what is Pause and React, and how can teachers use it to build a more equitable learning community in their classrooms?
Yeah, so thank you for that question, Erica. So I'll say most of the community building that you do in your classroom as a teacher, I call those like tier one approaches or tier one strategies, right? So these are things you may start doing at the beginning of the school year to start making connections with your students, getting to know them, allowing them to get to know you, right? Well, at some point in the year, depending on, what students may experience inside of school, outside of school, in their homes, they may experience some trauma. And so those techniques and strategies that you use with all of your students, these particular students may no longer respond to those strategies. And so I created Pause and React like a tier two relationship building strategy to help teachers to first pause, right? And really notice that, wow, this student is struggling either academically or emotionally, and something is going on here. So I'm going to pause and try to figure out what is going on. I'm doing that through asking questions and kind of really getting a feel for what's going on from the student's perspective. And then I react. So when I react, I think about all of the information that I've gathered, as a result of speaking with the student and possibly other folks in the student's life. And then I put together this plan of support for the student that may involve the principal, the parent, maybe a school psychologist or a social worker, any other folks that I can get involved in order to be able to support this child by giving them, support they need from the school, additional support at home, creating opportunities for them to be successful. And so through this effort, what I find is that the relationships deepen between the teacher and the student because the student knows that this teacher really cares about them. And it's not like the teacher said, you know what, you're struggling, I'm sending you off to the principal or I'm referring you to the counselor. No, this teacher is rolling up his or her sleeves and they are completely engaged in that support. And so that's how I use that tool with teachers, or that's how teachers are able to use that tool with students in order to cultivate those strong relationships.
Thank you. Thank you. And Jen Whitmer says she loves the power of the pause. And so I'm just going to ask you if you could quickly share what pause and react mean, just to give us a little sense of the actions that teachers take.
Yes, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I have a cute little graphic. We'll maybe try to get this posted online. But there are steps. So each of the pause and react is an acronym. And so each of the letters represents a step. So for pause, we're going to pay attention, ask questions, use your judgment, share expertise, and then you're going to figure out who in this student's life can be a part of that plan, right? Then, when you react, that means you're going to reach out, extend a helping hand. You're going to go through those phases, create opportunities for students, tap into their greatness. You'll go through all of those steps. And so, I wish I could find that graphic quickly. I'll find it, we'll put it up. Because what it is, it's like a handy graphic for teachers to use so that in the heat of the moment, you don't always remember, yes, there it goes. Thank you. You don't always remember to do all of those things. And so as a teacher, if I know that my student is struggling, then I can reach into my pause and react tool. I can look at it and see which of these steps do I need to do in order to pause and react for this particular student.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm curious in the audience, which of those steps really resonate or stand out to you? I love that tap into your greatness at the end, right? Really thinking about the students' assets and what they bring into the classroom. Katie Jones says, well, this conversation happening in the comments. So she agrees with the Jen. It's a great reminder for us as adults as well as students to pause. Thanks, Venola. This is so great. So thank you so much for sharing, and we'll keep coming back to this. Mike O'Neill, you think about relationships in different ways with
Oh
parents
my.
at Parent University. Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
I consider both of them like relationship building gurus. So you guys need to pay attention. They're awesome at it. I've had the honor to bear witness to the community that is Parent University, both in person when hundreds of parents and grandparents and aunties, uncles show up on Saturday to learn how to do what's best for their families. And then even during the pandemic, over 100 families would Zoom in and fellowship with each other. And the connections and the joy and the love were palpable. And so, Mike, how have you built and maintained such a relevant and equitable learning community for parents and families?
Well, I was just practicing that. One of those talents, one of those characteristics, one of those skill sets is to listen. And Venola was, just as she was saying, I actually kind of get goosebumps when I feel like I'm being reminded or learning something that's valuable. And I think that's a human trait, that if we open ourselves to learning, and when that learning rushes in, it's a rush. But I think oftentimes we're closed to that. I'm sure of it. Most parents are not as open to learning as they can be. I was that way. I mean, something about parenting is so personal that it exposes a vulnerability in us that we'd rather sometimes just close ourselves. And I think all of us can relate as a parent, as opposed to telling someone that I need help, or exposing that I'm not perfect at this. We just won't share. And so by the way, I have 4 children and 14 grandchildren. And yes, and I have the scars to prove it. And it's all about relationships. It's all about creating a space to nurture relationships. We can share discrete knowledge. That's fine. That's great. But when you feel that feeling associated with learning, then a relationship has a chance to flourish. And so what we did at Parent University 23 years ago was create a space where parents could, first of all, tell us what they wanted to know. I want to say that first. That went a long way into nurturing a relationship, because just to share with someone that you don't know a thing is, that's a little risk involved in that, because you don't know how they're going to judge you and things of this nature. And I'm sure there's a lot of educators on this point of view. And remember, I'm speaking from the perspective of a parent. And most of the times, a parent does not want someone, particularly a professional educator, to know they don't know something, even though they might both know that they don't know something. They don't want to say it. And so we had to create a space where parents felt comfortable, first of all, in telling us what they wanted to know. That was a big move that enhanced our relationship. Once that's done, what we did was um, we listened to what those parents said, and we created classes that reflected what they told us they wanted to know. So we built a level of trust, imbued and pretty much or embedded in any relationship, good or bad, is, you can pretty much correlate it with how much trust is in the relationship. So what we did, we created a space saying, parents, we're gonna address what you think you want to learn. We're going to create this space, and in this space, we're going to strengthen those connections between teachers and parents, between teachers and children, between children and parents. All of these critical elements that allow people to open themselves to the learning process. And so once we began to deal with those elements which kind of stop people from being open to the learning that I described early, because I feed on it as like a sponge. But I remember maybe I didn't always feel that way. But once you open people to that, then our natural desire to learn more kicks in. And then the world opens to us. And so, Erica, you've described it. We've had literally hundreds of people attend hundreds of events to come out and learn. It's not. I'm glad I have a witness here, because some people go, it's no way, but it's true, right? They do it over and over again, both face to face and even virtually. And I got to say, and then I'll stop. So you might not believe 100 people are going to come on a video or going to come on a virtual space to learn, but towards the end of 2020, we actually had days where there were closer to 200 people on a virtual space for 3 or 4 hours learning. So, but it's because of the relationships that open people up to learning and to sharing.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm like sitting here trying to like stay seated because this the parallel between like you and Venola about creating that trust with who you're working with and that relationship. I'm just like, yes, that's why you guys are here. But yes, I think we have some comments. Ooh. Thank you, LinkedIn user. Yeah, so the relationship is so key when it comes to engaging parents. It's something that I'm working on in Puerto Rico Department of Education. They are struggling with parent engagement, and developing those strong and positive relationships with parents is so key. Yes, thank you for sharing. We appreciate it. You have 2 people who you can connect with after this show to support you. They are amazing resources. And then hello, Danielle. Welcome back from Savannah, Georgia. I love it. I love it. Great. Thank you, guys. So Remix EQ Live is a platform that really holds space so guests like Venola and Mike can give us some insight into how they work to achieve equitable outcomes in schools and communities. And so we heard from Venola about her tool, Pause and React, but really it's a way for her to help teachers strengthen the relationships with students so they can open up those spaces for open themselves up to learning, as Mike described. And Mike's strategy, which I love because it seems so simple, but it's really hard for us to do, is to ask and listen to what parents want to ensure that they have what they need so their family can thrive. Another theme that has come throughout the show this season is that, and the work that we're doing that they share with us is so rich and exciting, but they're always seeking new ways and spaces to make this world a more just place. And so there's no surprise here that Mike and Venola are doing just that. So Mike, we've been talking about the parent you experience here in Savannah because that's where we live. But this awesome community learning experience is not confined to the city limits here in Savannah. Parent University has been expanding, and we want to know more about that. So will you first let us know which communities Parent University has expanded into, and then share what has motivated or supported this expansion?
Well, it's kind of a couple of layers to this. We've been doing this for 23 years. And in our first few years, just the number of parents that were attending our events garnered the attention of a lot of folks. So people would come and visit. our sessions, and they would say, we're going to go back and start this in their community. And so they would take our roster of classes and our brochures, and they would go to their community, and they would come back and they would call me and say, well, it didn't turn out quite like it did. And that would happen a few times. And that is because they didn't embrace the process of relationship development. You see, they saw the outcome, and so they took that and went with it. And so we kind of took the focus off of that expansion. This was back about 10, 12 years ago. Took the focus off that expansion because those models were coming and they weren't flourishing as we would like them to flourish. Because once again, people say, well, they would just take the package and go and that. But Savannah continued to grow locally. You see, both in numbers and numbers of classes. You've seen it, Eric. We've gone from just a few times a year to just before the pandemic hit, we were doing 50 things a year, 50 learning activities a year. And all the learning activities were robustly attended. And so we decided, well, let's start talking about expansion again. But this time, those people that we would call affiliates must engage in the process, in this process of relationship building, of listening, both listening and responding to what you hear. You know, it's not just a listening exercise, because some people stop there. Okay, well, we listened, and okay, now here's what we got. We listen, as you know, and then we implement what's told to us by the parents and make sure that is critically engaged in what they see in the very near future after having told us what they want. As a result of that, we have now journeyed on to a few other communities. One is Pensacola, Florida. Pensacola, Florida is amazing. We're also in Atlanta.
I was waiting.
Yes, Atlanta, and two in Chicago, because Chicago has like distinct sides. So we're one's in South Chicago, South Side, and the other's in West Side Chicago. And so with those five, including Savannah, let me get right here. 5 areas that we're currently focused on this strata. We're calling affiliates, but we're focusing on each of these areas producing the product that their families are asking for, as opposed to what they saw us do. And so that's the difference, and it's going rather amazing. And I need to say that, strangely enough, the COVID environment brought to the front the needs for parents to be intimately involved in the education of their children. It seems as though it should have been intuitively understood, but I'm not sure it was very well understood. And I think the trajectory is now that all these learning, all these towers of learning, cathedrals of learning in our communities, our school systems, now understand the integral importance of parents in the education of their children. And it's creating an environment where I just named the places we're actively pursuing, but I could have named a dozen places who have asked us to come there, but we're kind of taking it slow or more organically. But this time next year, we could be talking about twice that number or more.
I feel like in Atlanta, you have Venola. I'm all like, I can see it happening because I know Venola, so I see it happening.
So I was crossing my fingers like, please say Atlanta, please say Atlanta, please say Atlanta.
And then we have another audience member who's like, awesome that you're in Chicago, so maybe they're in Chicago too. Yes. Awesome. Oh, so Venola, I want to turn to you, thinking of expansion. So your career pathway, your current work, your recent book really exemplify your commitment to education equity. And so even as a colleague and your friend, it's been really exciting for me to see how your impact has grown even in the last few years. So we're curious, as you continue in your pursuit of educational equity, what's next for you And please share why.
Yes. So actually, with all that you named, plate is definitely full. But you know how we like to carve in new slices and like enlarge that plate so we can get more done. And so now I am pursuing a seat on my local school board for DeKalb County Board of Education in District 6. Yes.
Oh.
So I have been on the campaign trail. The election is May 24th. If you're in DeKalb County, vote for me. I'll take it. Um, but no, I've been in education for just about 20 years now. And my focus when I got here was that I wanted, as a teacher, I wanted to be the difference for kids that I had when I was younger. I was one of the first people in my family to go to college. And education, it was important, but it wasn't something that was really pushed because my mom was very much focused on working hard, making sure we had a roof over our head, a clean clothes, and food to eat. And so by the time all of that was done, it's like, I hope that homework is done and I hope you're okay, right? And so I had some really strong teachers in my life who inspired me, who motivated me. And so I wanted to be that same inspiration for other kids. And so now that I'm no longer in the classroom, I don't work for a district, although I do provide support to districts. I thought, how can I use my 20 years of experience and my passion for making sure that all students across the board had access to what they need? Then this school board race was just the perfect fit for me. So I am extremely excited about it. I also have a 5-year-old son who is in the district that we live in. And so, I have very high hopes for him. And the hopes and dreams that I have for him are also mirror what the hopes and expectations I have for the students all across DeKalb County. So I'm just excited about this opportunity. I have about 5 more weeks till the election, and I'm hoping that I'm successful so I can roll up my sleeves and do some great work on behalf of the county.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I love both you're growing your work on a national scale, but you're still rolling up your sleeves and doing the work on the local level. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Cheryl Rain says, great conversation on equity in schools and engaging parents and student learning. Yes, I love this conversation. And we would not be a show focused on equity if we did not remind people that on May 24th in the state of Georgia, it is our primary election. So do get out there and utilize your right to vote wherever you are in the state. Katie Jones, love the trend of taking time to listen to parents, Mike O'Neill, and students, Venola, asking questions as part of the pause. Yes, I love it. I love it. All right. So we are coming down to the end, and you guys have dropped so much knowledge about your work. I really think it's like your art, right? As you guys build relationships, within the learning communities that are including children and parents and teachers. It's really full circle, right? When we hear both of you guys talk about the importance of relationships and learning and in our education spaces. So I'm excited. And also, the show's about dropping inspiration. And so I know everybody here is inspired by the work that you're doing, but I'd love to close out the show making sure that we all stay inspired and amped to make the world a more just place. So in 60 seconds or less, what inspires you most about the work you do with families and schools? We'll go Mike, then Venola.
What inspires me most is that when we call all hands on deck, is that people respond. When people get a chance to be who they are, I have rarely seen a case where they do not respond and transform very quickly. So that's what inspires me.
Love it.
Yeah, for me, I would say, I am so motivated by seeing people get what they need. Like when you're able to work directly with the child and, the smile on their face when they, get a problem right, or they've solved something, or they've created a masterpiece. Or if you're working with a teacher or an administrator and the light bulb goes off, that they have some new systems in place and tools to be able to do that direct work that they do with parents and families. Like just seeing that is what motivates me and keeps me working hard and doing what I'm doing.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. Definitely, Jen Whitmer says, thank you for the conversation. We are all thankful for you guys taking time out of your very busy lives. We can all bear witness to that. and sharing time with us. Be sure to learn more about Parent University with Mike O'Neill, and definitely check out Venola's book, Teach Up, to learn more about building relationships with students and teachers. You guys are always invited back. At any time, we can continue this conversation here and just keep going. And then also, you can come back and remix with someone else so that you can just keep dropping knowledge and wisdom all year long. We're excited. I'll be back on May 13th with the wrap up show for the season. I can't believe that the first season has come to an end. So on May 13th, I'll be back to share and reflect on all the great things that we have learned throughout this show with our amazing, inspiring guests. So please watch your feed, check your email inbox so that you can have details for how to tune into the next show. And anytime in between, visit the Remix EQ Live webpage for past episodes, more information about our guests and all the work that they're doing and upcoming shows. And while you're there, please poke around the website, learn more about my business, New Knowledge, which advances equity in schools and communities. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, and of course, I invite you to connect with me here. Thank you, Remix Live, for your engagement, your comments. You guys were like active today. I see you all. And your encouragement, which keeps us inspired and amped to make this world a more just place. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Tate, and this is Remix EQ Live. And we'll see you next time.